So Dr. Jasmine Escalera is a confidence coach and career strategist for women of color. She helps her clients beat self-doubt so that they can own their worth and boss up in their careers. She's a TEDx speaker and recently been recognized as a top career expert and top job search expert to follow on LinkedIn. Jasmine earned her Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry from Pace University and her PhD in Pharmacology from Yale. Are you guys excited to welcome Jasmine onto the stage here? Let's type in "Go Jasmine." She can see this in backstage. Let's raise that vibrational energy up here. Awesome. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. All right, so let me welcome Jasmine on stage here.
Hello, Jasmine. I am absolutely loving this vibrational energy. I see party hats. I see so much amazing stuff. And I am so excited to be here.
Me too. I have to say, like, I think I've been following you for, I don't even know, but on Instagram, and I love your videos. They lit me up. I love your confidence, just how positive and happy you are. It just really inspires me. So I want to say congratulations with your recent accomplishments and recognition there.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And yeah, we've been following each other for quite some time. And I was saying to you before, it's amazing to actually finally meet, because you support people for so long and then you meet them and it's like, oh, there you are.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. So I'm going to kick things off to get you to share with us a little bit about, tell us a bit about your cultural upbringing. What's one cultural value that had an impact on you, good or bad?
Well, I think the thing that had the biggest impact on me from a positive standpoint, but then also later on, not necessarily from a negative, but that just kind of was a little bit jarring for me, was that I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn, New York. So I grew up around Black and brown faces, and my community, my people, my individuals, they championed me all along the way. So I was known as the bookworm in the projects. I was known as the one who wanted to go to school and like be successful. And that was like my thing, and everybody championed me. So I can remember, coming home from school with an A and telling all the fellas on the stoop, I got an A today, and it would be like the biggest cheers ever. And that created a sense of safety for me, right? It created a real sense of community, a sense of safety. And it made me truly value individuals who look like me because they championed me. But the problem with that, in terms of what's the bad around that, was that when I left my community and I started college, and then I was sort of thrust into a different world with different people with different backgrounds, I realized that not everybody lived like I did, and not everybody had the same upbringing as me. And that really started to create my first sort of bout with self-doubt and imposter syndrome, because I had stepped out of the safety of my community of Black and brown individuals supporting me and into something completely new and different. So I would say that there was a lot of positive in the way that I grew up, but that was a jarring thing for me, going out and stepping out into the real world and realizing not everybody grows up in the projects. People have houses and go to private schools. Like, yeah. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God, thank you. And I watched your TEDx talk the other day, and it was so inspiring to hear your story. So if you guys haven't watched Jasmine's talk, go Google it or search for it on YouTube, and you'll hear her talk about her story, and which just ties into your topic of your talk today as well. So tell me, what challenges did you face in your career or business, and how did you handle them?
I think a lot of the challenges that I personally faced were internal struggles. So I see a lot of individuals writing here about imposter syndrome. Like, I didn't actually know imposter syndrome was a thing until only, a few years ago, when I really started diving deep into career and professional development. But I have been, I started my academic career 20 years ago, and I would say for about 15 years of my academic and professional life, I was dealing with something that I didn't even know was a thing. So a lot of what I faced in terms of my challenges were trying to reconcile these feelings of doubt, these feelings of imposter syndrome, these feelings of not wanting to own my success, with what I knew I had to do to be successful, which was be boastful, take up space, be there, be energetic, be assertive. But I didn't know how to do that. And because I actually didn't know that there was a thing like imposter syndrome, I really didn't know much about self-doubt. I couldn't actually put a name to it. So then I could finally like start to build the strategies to overcome it. So I feel like a lot of my specific challenges in terms of my career and business were like owning my value, my worth, my confidence, taking up the space that I deserved. And a lot of that was really internal.
And did you have like any guidance or mentor along the way?
Yeah, so I did. So when I was in college, actually, I met this amazing woman. Her name was Dr. Jamie Lee Rizzo, at the time Cohen. And she, you know, when I was struggling a lot in college because of, like I said, it was just this transition away from my community and doing something completely different. And she told me something that was so profound, which is, you know, you create community as you go through your life and as you go through your career and profession. So all you have to do is find out what community means to you, what community represents for you, and you find that. And that's what I started to do in every sort of walk and shape of my life was, you know, in college, I found other Black and brown women, powerhouse science women who were going through the same thing, and we supported each other. In graduate school, I found my tribe, my group, my squad. And then, you know, in my career, I really was able to build a community through my business. So I always sort of stuck to that sort of idea of community is the thing that can help you overcome a lot of the challenges that you're facing.
Oh, I agree with you. Community, I'm so big on that. This is why I surround myself with great people. And this is why I do events like this, is because you meet great people and you lift each other up.
Exactly.
Right? Like, the support that you have. So that's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Why do you do what you do? What's something that you're proud of in your career?
Yeah, so I mean, I do what I do because, as I said, when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be successful. You know, that was something that I always wanted. I always wanted to be the best person that I could be. And sometimes that's a little bit of a pain in the butt because I push myself a lot, but I always wanted to be the best that I could be. So for me, I do what I do because I wasn't always my best, because I did conform, because I did feel less than, and because I didn't value myself. And I just don't want any other woman of color to ever feel that way when it comes to their careers. Like, there are a lot of issues with the workplace. There are a lot of issues with the work environment. But I come from the standpoint of what is it that you can do to own your space, to step into the workplace every single day as your authentic self, and to truly be able to craft and create success the way you want it to be. So for me, I do what I do because I went through it. I felt it for a very long time. And I just don't want any women to feel like they cannot move out of that place in that state.
Oh, I love that. I mean, what I'm hearing, Jasmine, is focus on what you control, like work on yourself, really that inner work so that you can really, you know, step into your own power, your own greatness, and show up fully there. I love that. I love that. Okay, so this is a great segue into your talk, building career confidence. And I want to ask you guys, what questions do you have, or what are you curious about here? I'm going to pull in our chat here to the display as well. So, Jasmine, my first question is, how might people of color self-sabotage their career? What are some of those signs of self-sabotaging behavior?
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, the number one sign of self-sabotaging behavior, and I see this a lot in my clients, is not realizing that you have to pick your head up and you have to be strategic about your career. So I think as women of color, especially, one of the predominant factors, or one of the ways that imposter syndrome manifests, and doubt and fear and everything else, is that we try our best to overwork, to prove to everyone else. And what that really means is we put our heads down and we're working really hard. But the thing is that we're not being strategic. We're not speaking up. We're not saying what we want. And then the problem with that becomes, I'm working so hard, but nobody values me. Or I'm working so hard and people should understand that I want more. I want to be more. I want to do more. But the thing is that if you don't build a core strategy into that, if you're not speaking up and telling people what you want, then unfortunately you're going to stay stagnant with where you are. So I think a major component of self-sabotage when it comes to people of color, women of color, is this feeling of, I just should be working hard and then being recognized for it, and not realizing that strategy and using your voice is such a major component to creating the success that you really want.
So the key learning here is to use your voice. which
Yes.
to our talk here, to speak up. Oh my goodness. I love it. Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some things that people should speak up on? What are maybe some examples when they should be speaking up on?
Well, I hear a lot of my clients say, my company doesn't value me. And the one thing that I say to them is like, what does value mean to you, right? Because value is very different to different people. Is that money? Is that like they're not listening to your ideas? Is it that they're not really taking into concern like your work-life balance? What does value mean to you? And that's what you have to speak up for. So, and values change in your career as you change as an individual and as you grow. So when I was younger in my career, I wanted the value to be money, money, money because I was working really hard. But now as I have a business and I have other things I want to do, value to me is understanding that if I leave, I need to leave at 4 o'clock every single day because I have things I need to do. So I think, you know, you need to connect to your value. What's your value in this point? Understanding that it does change as you grow in your career. And that's what you need to speak up for.
Totally. I agree. Jasmine, I don't know if you can see the chat right now. It's amazing. They're like, this is so good. You know, Ulysses, value to me is recognition and appreciation.
Yes.
And I love what you're saying here. It's just like understanding what it means to you, like what's important to you so that you know what to speak up of what you need from your boss or from your employer there. Right?
Yeah, that's so key.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that. So what are some strategies to build career confidence?
Yeah, so for me, I always think about confidence in sort of 3 buckets, and confidence is a lot of the internal work. So what I was talking about, I was lacking in terms of confidence was the internal piece. So you really have to adopt a growth mindset. You need to be creating strategies for yourself that help build yourself up, affirmations, talking to yourself in a good way, diminishing your limiting beliefs. But then the second thing really about confidence is that you need to be using your strengths and skills. We all feel more confident when we are actually doing the things that we're naturally good at. So if you want to build confidence, first, of course, do that inner work and really pinpoint what it is. And then secondly, know what your strengths are, know what your skills are, know what you're really good at, and focus your work and efforts in that space. Yeah. And then the third thing for confidence is you just got to go for it. You've got to take action. We fear things that we think are going to happen that are bad. But once you start taking those baby steps and you realize that it isn't really as bad as you thought it was, you'll just naturally start to build confidence. So confidence truly does come from the inner work, the utilization of your strengths, your skills, what you're good at. And then that third component is you've got to go out there, take those baby steps, gain the experience, and you will naturally start to feel more confident about your abilities.
I love that. I love that. And I remember when I was looking at your talk here, it says that studies show 80% of women of color feel that they cannot be themselves in the workplace. And Ula just said here, I need to be comfortable with who I am in a white community. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that or maybe give some words of encouragement for those feel like they can't be themselves?
Yeah, so that was me completely. So I am Latina in STEM, and I work in the nonprofit sector, but I'm still in research. So my sector is very dominated by white men. And so for a very long time, I conformed or tried to conform to what I thought that they would want from me. But here's the problem is I'm never going to be a white man. Like I'm sorry, that's just not what's going to happen. So I became so conflicted internally with who I was or who I wanted to represent as and what everyone else thought I should be represented as. And frankly, it wasn't until I started to realize that I was doing myself a disservice and myself damage, and that I had moved so far away from the community that supported me to where I was, that I really started to realize that I can't do this anymore. So my biggest piece of advice to anyone who's in that space and wants to connect to their authentic self is you have to really connect back to your authentic self. You have to really know who you are as an individual, as a person, how you want to represent yourself and show up every single day. And you have to show up as that person. And when I started to do that, I was in an environment that did not accept me for who I was. And so I had to, again, connect to my values and find an environment that would, so that I can show up as me, like me, every single day, and no one's going to blink an eye. So it's really important to, again, to go back to the value. Who are you? And sometimes you'll recognize that as you start to really become the person you want to be in every space, the spaces are not for you. And that's okay. But then you have to find your space.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this is so good. I think Mohib had a question around books around career development. I see people are sharing it here. I don't know if you have a book that you recommend around career confidence.
Yeah, so there's actually 2 books that I always recommend to my clients. One is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, which is a book that's been around for a long time about limiting beliefs and owning your greatness. And I just think it's a beautiful book. It's not specific about careers, but it's just a fantastic book around your limiting beliefs and how we create a ceiling for ourselves. The second book that I always recommend is Own Your Greatness by Lisa Orbe Austin. It's all around imposter syndrome. It is fantastic. It is a wonderful book. And I will say a third one, which is The Memo by Minda Harts. I call that the career Bible for women of color. So those 3 books are 100% like the 3 books I would recommend to anyone to read.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay. As women of color, how to deal with judgment from others?
Yeah, so, you know, frankly, I just don't give a F about what anyone has to say. And, you know, it's taken me a really long time to get to that point. I'm not joking. Like, it's taking me a long time to get to the point that I am confident in the woman that I am, that it doesn't really matter what everyone else thinks about me or says. And I had to create that persona in my career. And then I had to create that persona in my business because it's different, you know? And so I think that in terms of dealing with judgment from others, you again have to build the confidence within yourself to recognize that judgment from others is BS. That's their own stuff. And you don't need to put anybody else's baggage on yourself. So I think it's a matter of really getting to the point where you feel good about you and recognizing that other people's baggage is not something that you have to carry. Now, it is different in the workplace. If you're dealing with microaggressions, if you're dealing with bias, then you have to speak up to individuals so that they recognize that that is something that you are not going to tolerate, and you set your boundaries around that. So there's different things in terms of judgment. You know, there's the judgment of people just judge people. And I just don't tolerate that. But the other thing that I don't tolerate is people being aggressive in the workplace or putting bias out there, putting thoughts out there. And that's when I tell individuals, you do have to own your voice and speak up.
This is a good one. I mean, what I'm hearing is don't take it personally. Don't believe it, essentially, right? That's an important piece. But I think in order to do that too, it's, I think going back to, it's really like, you got to really be comfortable with who you are. You gotta love yourself. You gotta love yourself.
You have to. Yes, you definitely do.
Yeah. You listen, I care so much about other people's judgment, right? And I hear this a lot too, even from clients. You know, when they talk about themselves, they feel like, what will they think? Is it too much to this? Or if I speak up, or if I share my accomplishments on LinkedIn, is that too much? What if they judge me? Like, what advice do you have for that? Like, just to get over that hump of putting yourself out there, of showcasing who you are.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because for a very long time I didn't use LinkedIn, and I wasn't very interested in Instagram because I thought everybody was going to judge me. And I think what you have to realize is that, yes, people will judge you. Like I get, you know, messages on LinkedIn that are not nice messages, people calling me stupid for words that I use. But you know what? 99.9% of the messages that I get are from amazing people, laden with positivity and just really expressing the best for me. And then I express the best for them. So I give out in the world what I want to receive, and you will receive judgment from others. But again, it comes back to how you see you and how you own your accomplishments and how you own your worth. I cannot correct the world, and there is no way that we're going to do that. So I don't focus on trying to correct the world or letting the world affect me. I create a circle and a network of individuals who support me and who I support. And that's what I care about.
Oh, I love that, guys. Put in what your key learnings are. This was so rich here. Like, what resonated with me was what you said about 99% of the people are there to support you. There's just like 1% of people who are judging you. And, you know, like, do you make it big about it that, you know, Or you think about all these 90% of the people who love you and support you and believe in your work. And I remember learning from this from another speaker, Brandon Bouchard. He talks about that because as you get bigger, you're going to have people who won't like you, who will judge you. And are you going to care about that small percentage of people, or you're going to, you know, care about the 90% of people who adore your work and who you want to support and serve?
Yeah, and you have to focus on that positivity. Like, there's enough negativity in this world. We see it all the time. But if you can focus on the positive aspects, like putting yourself out there, talking about your accomplishments, what will that get you? Opportunities. You'll feel good. It'll get you positive energy. Focus on all the greatness and the good that will come out of you being able to be vulnerable in that moment. And don't worry about all the other stuff. We can't fix that, unfortunately. But what we can do is we can strive for the best.
Amazing, amazing. So final question, what does it mean to you to own your voice, value, and visibility?
It means that I'm a badass every single day, all day. Like, that's it. It means that I'm a badass. You know, like, I told myself that 2021 was the year of badassery. And, you know, owning your voice, your value, and your visibility means that you walk in this space, you walk in this world as the woman or man you want to be every single day. And what else could that be besides badass? You know, that's what it means. It means you feel good about you, and that is badass.
Look at all the comments right now. I love it. So where can people find you, Jasmine?
So people can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. You can also find me on Instagram at Jasmine Escalera Coaching. I love to connect with everyone. DM me if you have questions, and I cannot wait to see your connection request.
Oh, thank you so much. This was so good. And thank you for being you, speaking from your heart, encouraging others. What a great way to kick off the show. Thank you so much. And I look forward to supporting you and supporting each other as well and elevating our community.
Thank you. Same. And I can't wait to see all of the other amazing women that you put together. This is a blessing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right. You have a good one. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.